Hi, this is Jim Peters with Peters Principals. As you know, you never know who you're going to have on Peters Principals. And today we have City Councilor and City Councilor wannabe. Yeah, okay. John Leahy. And John, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Pleasure to be here.
Nice to have you. I have to tell everybody that John's got a spotty history with me on Peters Principals because the last time I talked to him, I was watching a uniformed officer walk back and forth in front of my house as he and I talked on the telephone because it was a WCAP show and we couldn't meet.
Yeah,
they wouldn't let me out of the they wouldn't let me out of the area, and it turns out they found the guy that they found a half a block away from my house. So that was pretty scary. Anyway, so John, it's nice to see you here. I take it nothing drastic is going to happen, and we should be in good shape.
Yeah, we should be in good shape. So.
Well, I guess the question on everybody's mind today is, what did you think of the election yesterday?
Well, I thought it was interesting, and I thought that the people that came out to vote sent a strong message that they do not want the high school in their neighborhood because of the size and the number of people that will be going in and out of that neighborhood every day. It's probably going to be at least a 3,500 student school,
right,
plus staff, traffic, and I think the message was clear. It's not that they don't want a school in their backyard. If it was a small school, it'd be a different story.
Right.
But it's a big school for any neighborhood.
Right.
So I think that was clear, and I think the message should be today, is there any room for compromise? You know, what can we do?
Well, I've been on the downtown bucket for 2 years now. So so nobody's surprised at what I have to say about it. But that must have been difficult for you when you had the original vote on it.
You know, honestly, I didn't want to get stressed out about that decision or any other decision. So the way I look at it is I try to weigh all the facts. I don't try not to jump in and make an early decision. And, you know, we do have public meetings, so you should be listening to both sides. And sure, do you lean one way or the other? Yeah. But try to make my mind up at the end when we get as much information as we can possibly get. And so in my mind at the end, I just prefer a centrally located high school, and downtown was the site for me.
Downtown was the site for me too. And part of it was that I just grew up in that high school. You know, I mean, when I came here from Chicago at the end of 9th grade, and 9th grade here was pretty much junior high still. And 9th grade there was high school. And I just enjoyed Lowell so much more than Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I hated the high school in Chicago. And it was 5,500 students. And this one was only 3,500, well, not even at that time, less than that.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed the heck out of high school in Lowell.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Yeah, and there's a lot to say for the downtown, for the atmosphere, for the everything that's available to the students downtown. The social services, the stores, the restaurants, the sandwich shops, you know, and you can easily walk into any neighborhood from the downtown area. So it's a lot to offer downtown. There is, you know, something special going on.
Yeah, I like to, when I drive, if I substitute in the high school or something and I drive home, I see the kids walking.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're perfectly happy walking and telling jokes.
Most of the days are good and it's not raining or snowing on them, and they're talking and they're skateboarding and they're riding their bikes and they're walking. And
right. Yeah, I think it's, I just thought it was great growing up in downtown Lowell. At the time, we had Page's Drugstore, you know, we had Page's Drugstore, we had that office place that's old.
Oh, yeah. Dennis. Was it
Dennis, it
Office?
might have been Dennis Office Supply, yeah.
Yeah.
And we had a variety of different types of stores, including the bigger ones. We still had Pollard's, and we still had Jordan Marsh or Bon Marsh or whatever. I think it was Bon Marsh the first year I was here, and then it changed to Jordan Marsh later.
Ricky's Sandwich Shop.
Yeah, Ricky's Sandwich
Hot
Shop.
dogs.
Ricky.
The Ricky's Sandwich Shop. Yeah.
Ricky Robinson. Was that his name?
Al Lenzi owned it, but Ricky's Doghouse was on Bridge Street, and then it moved across to a bigger spot, and it was Ricky's Sandwich Shop for a few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I worked at Lefty's for 20 years.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I know how to make a sub. Although the new ones that they're coming up with now, I would be a little bit nervous about. You know.
Yeah.
What do you put on an Italian sub that's a veggie? My daughter buys it's a veggie sub, so that type of thing.
Yeah.
But no, I had a really good time in Lowell growing up, and
I went to back in the 80s, I went to a early 70s, I went to late 70s, early 80s, I went to Bishop Girton out of town, and it was a small high school, and we had the fields right there, and but it was a much different setting. It was a 2-story building, and you had your gymnasium, and you had your baseball field, and your football field right there, practice fields, and but to break apart a sports complex in Lowell like the Martin Complex is. I think to me a shame, because it's just we've put so much energy and effort over there over the last few decades that it's become a great complex.
Right.
And to break that apart to put in a 5-story building, I don't think is the best plan. I mean, a brand new building is terrific, but not over there. I mean,
well, what I like is I like the fact that we have the 1893 building.
Yeah.
I like the fact that we have the 1922 building.
Yeah.
I'm not so keen on the 1983 building because that one's been causing us trouble. But I think part of that, I don't know if you've seen this over at John McDonough's house, but he's got a 55-sheet maintenance work order.
Yeah, I mean that's going to happen with any municipal buildings. I've been in and out of that high school a lot in the last few months, and they've done a lot of work, and it's looking a lot better than it has. A lot of the tiles have been replaced that were water damaged. A lot of areas that were bad got painted. A lot of the floors got repaired. The roofs are always being checked. And sure, do we have occasionally the leaks come back and it's disruptive? Sure. But, they're doing the best they can with it. And it all starts, from the beginning. I mean, if we built a brand new high school anywhere, Cawley, Pawtuckaville, Centerville, there's no guarantee that the roof's not going to leak.
Well,
I mean, it could start leaking a month later, it could start leaking 2 years later.
Right.
These things happen. So.
Yeah. Well, what I like is the 1983 building. Well, I went into last year. I got tired of hearing about how bad Lowell High School was, so I went into Lowell High School to look at it.
Yeah.
So I just said, I asked them at the front desk. I said, "Do you mind if I just take a walk around and look at the high school?" And there was education happening there.
Yeah.
It was a high school.
Yeah.
There was truly education happening there, and that just made me have a totally different outlook on the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, do work orders get delayed for unreasonable amount of time? Sure. It's the system that needs to be fixed,
Right.
first. Wherever we build this new high school, in 20 years, we're going to have the same problems we have today. Or 15
Right.
years, we're going to have the same problems we have today if we don't maintain our buildings.
Right. Yeah, and it's the maintenance that I was trying to get to with
Yeah.
John's 55-page thing. I mean, it's got everything in there from did you screw a new light bulb
Yeah,
into
yeah.
this room, or did you do this and that? And a lot of the stuff that's in there, it says fixed.
Right.
You know, it says repaired, fixed,
Yeah.
or this, that,
Yeah.
and everything. So it's not as bad as it sounds when
No.
when they raise it up and say, "Oh, look at this! This is all the stuff that hasn't been done in the little
And part of
schools."
the issue too is when I was on school committee 10 years ago, one of the first things I tried to introduce, and I worked on it for a long time, and they wore me out, and I tried to create a position, if you will, a maintenance man for the high school. Well, not for the high school, for the schools.
Right.
So my idea at the time was to have 2 people. They come in, they work a second shift, 3 to 11, and they have their work orders. And they might spend a week at one school, 2 weeks at another school, a week at another school, and they just rotate throughout the year. You know, it could be a union position or non-union position, but if you're not performing the standards to the standards that we want, then we'll get somebody else.
Right.
You know, it's not a lifetime job once you get the job.
Right.
You come in, you have your tasks, and it'd be a reasonable list. You
Right.
do the work, and you move on.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have been any simpler, but it just didn't go anywhere. I think the manager right now is trying to bring that back on that idea. We'll see if it works. I mean, you basically need a couple of people after school hours to do these small projects, and that would eliminate 85% of the problems, if not more.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that I keep thinking. I came here from Chicago. My father was a superintendent. He took a tour of the high school and invited me along with him. And so I was taking a tour of the high school before I got into it in the summer of '69. And I was looking at everything that needed to be done, and we went into the custodian's office,
Yeah.
and there are 2 cots built on the side wall.
Oh, yeah.
And he looks at them and he says, "What are these?" And they said, "Oh, those are for the men to sleep on if they're done with their work at night."
Yeah.
And he said, "They're not going to be done with their work at night, and I want these gone by tomorrow."
Yeah.
And they were gone by tomorrow. But I always remember seeing those 2 cots sitting.
Yeah, they were gone.
Yeah, but
We just want to create a reasonable work list that can be handled, and it should be just maintained all throughout the year. And
right.
it's the only way you're going to tackle these issues. So,
Well, I think we want to have something like they have in the Department of, I can't remember the guy's name, the DPW.
who's there now?
Who's
Tom
there?
Belgrade?
Tom Belgrade.
Yeah.
Anyway, that we have with Tom Belgrade, which is you have certain expectations they're going to be
yeah,
done,
yeah.
and they are done. And if they're not done, then he's going to find
Yeah.
you and find out why they weren't done.
Yeah.
And that type of thing is just an important thing in the maintenance of the schools. And I'm hoping that the leak in the roof in the field house is fixed. I mean, we certainly spent enough time there.
Well, I know, and they go up on the roof and they really try to locate it. I mean, trying to find the hole could be 20 feet away, and the water comes down and runs along a beam, and it drips 10, 15, 20 feet away from the actual hole. So
Right.
a little bit of an art to that, you know.
Just finding out how to do it. Yeah. Yeah. No, you have your business is drywall, right?
Painting, Jen.
Painting.
Yeah.
Okay. And who is the elected official who has business with roofing? Is that Bob Hoey?
Oh, yeah. School committee, yes.
Yeah.
Bob's a roofer by
Yeah.
trade, yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy we could ask
Oh, yeah.
a few questions of, I'm sure. And he'd probably have some interesting answers for us. But
Yeah, but I mean, you know, overall, the main thing is we do not want to lose the funding for what what we need here in Lowell. So,
Right.
you know, we can either work on this together, or we can, you know, stand on our sides and argue all day long, and we're not going to accomplish anything. So it's time for everybody to really come to the table and try to decide what we want to do. I mean,
Right.
no, you know, everybody at the end should be a little bit disappointed they didn't get their original plan, but we should be happy with what we came up with, because, you know, it's about giving these kids a great facility and a great learning facility for the next 75 to 100 years.
Well, I see the downtown plan as being something about building a relatively high-rise facility in the dentist's office, and I'm sorry that...
Yeah, the buildings were going to be high. They were going to be, I think the freshman academy might be 4 stories, and the other ones might be 3. They may be 4, depending on if you're counting the basements or not. I'm not sure, but yeah, is there a big difference between the 5-story building and a 4-story building downtown as far as height goes? No, but the downtown, I thought, and I know, can be done in phases safely and keep everybody safe. Nobody wants to do a project that's going to cause anybody any harm. No.
That's right.
I mean, we're going to do it in phases. It's going to be safe. Is it going to take longer? Yes. But, you know, it's the location that we want, so we're sacrificing some time. I mean,
How, this is totally off base. How is the, how do we look for snow coverage this year? Do we have enough stuff? Do we have the necessary equipment and everything's working? And
yeah, well, I would think so. You caught me off guard with that, but sure. I'm sure they're on that, and I don't know when they start that. They probably started it, excuse me, by now, so we're almost into October, so I'm sure they're cleaning up their equipment, taking inventory, and got their orders ready to go for salt, and
that's what I was
machines
wondering
are
about. Yeah.
ready to go, and so.
Now, does on the connector, John McDonough brings this up all the time. There are stanchions holding bridges, and the stanchions are falling apart.
Oh.
The bricks are falling out of them, and they're just whatever is left in after the bricks fall out.
Yeah.
And he's very adamant about that. What do we have any plans to fix those up, or
So this is on the connector.
on the connector?
Yeah.
Is that us or is that the state?
That's the state, but of course it's in our city, so if that's an issue, we should be pressing the state to come up and fix it, so. I haven't heard too much about that issue. I know that there's always something going on with the connector. They're always out there doing something, fixing something, improving something, so.
Yeah.
But that's something we can look into and make sure it gets fixed.
Yeah, it's just it's if you go on John's show, just say, John, what's the story about the connector? Because he'd be happy to show you his pictures.
Yeah.
He went out and took pictures of the broken down stanchions and.
Well, John brings up a bunch. You know, he brings up a lot of interesting topics, and some of them we take back to the council and we mull them over and explore them. He wanted to, and along with other people, wanted to know why we couldn't build a school at the Hamilton Canal.
Right.
So we explored that, but that's been such a slow train for such a long time. It's really starting to get some momentum, and hopefully we're going to see some progress over there in the next year or two. So, but you know, just bringing that up from John's show, we explored that to see if that would be a feasible spot for the high school.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So,
So.
but
Yeah, I I think the feasible spot for the high school is downtown myself, but
Yeah, I mean, downtown, I like downtown. I think we made a mistake by putting those dorms up across the street.
I think we did too.
I think that was a big mistake, and can't do anything about it now.
No, that's
You know,
true.
I asked the manager's office whenever it was, 3 years ago, if we thought that would work, and they thought maybe the spot was too small, but so we there's dorms there now for ULO, and that's what it is. So now we're faced with, if we want to keep the current site, we need to look around, and we need to look at, we need the space. The dentist's office has been a bone of contention, but it really doesn't have to be. I mean, sure, we want your property to expand the high school. That would be the best plan for downtown. But we could help them move, relocate them anywhere in the city.
That's what I would think too.
And we could all work together on that.
I mean, there's got to be there's got to be a
solution.
TIF to put them somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at the corner
So we
where the
gave
old
a TIF
John Dark building was. I know it's a private entity, but, we could have worked something out. There's a few spots that if we really wanted to compromise on this, we could help everybody out.
Yeah, that's what I think so too.
Yeah.
That's what I think too. I think that, giving them a space to open a new dentist's office may actually help their business a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they have a great business, sure. And we don't want to hurt anybody, but the high school for the city is a priority.
Right.
So,
I think that I think they have a great business too. I've been thinking for a couple of years about where it could go, and I thought of Wells Emporium. Yeah.
well, they need a lot of room.
They need more room than that.
And my kids went there, so I've done business with them over the years, the orthodontist, the dentist office downstairs too, so.
Right.
Nobody, if we really tried to plan this and work together, nobody has to get hurt.
Yeah, I think that's what I think we would think too. How do you see the relationship between? The reason I'm asking this is because the teachers got a raise. How do you see the relationship between the school committee and the city council, which has been a little strained in the last month or two?
Yeah. I don't know. I think things are fine. Being on the school committee for 10 years, I can understand what they go through. I can understand the process. And being a counselor now, I can see it from this side. Everybody needs to take care of their own budget.
Right.
And you have to live within your means,
Right.
whether it's the school budget or the city budget.
Right.
So, I think I said it last night at the meeting. I think some of the motions that are coming forward, we might be crossing the line. I mean, we have a city manager. They have their superintendent.
Right.
Let both of them do their own jobs. Can you put motions on through the mayor that will benefit the city? Sure, that'd be great. But sometimes, we need to let the school committee take care of their business, and we need to let the city council take care of our business.
Right.
So, but we can certainly work together,
Now, this is a question that I'm asking because my sister-in-law is retiring. How is how are we going to keep President Trump from cutting the Department of Interior budget and then taking out the whole park?
Well, I suppose we work very hard, very closely with Nikki Songers's office while she's here.
Right.
And again, you just, there's only so much we can do, but we have to let our voice be heard. So through her office, and the senator's office, Markey and
Warren.
Warren, just,
Yeah.
communicate with them and express, what's happening in Lowell and what we don't
Well,
want.
it's all good. Everything happening in Lowell is good.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to point
I think in Lowell we
towards.
take the initiative. We're not afraid to ask,
Okay.
Yeah.
I just see us ready with that point if it ever comes to that, which it probably won't. It could be just a worry on my part that National Park Service and all the rest of that stuff. But it probably won't happen. But it's just been something I've been worried about.
Yeah. Well, it's, again, you have to, we go out and we vote for people to put them in office, and we should keep the line of communication open with them. I mean, it's, I've just always been taught, through my parents, that if you have a question, ask it. And we elect senators and congress people and city councilors and call them up and ask them, questions. Share your concerns with them. That's what they're there for. Nobody should be, put on a pedestal and you can't go near them to talk to them. They should have a open door policy.
So, what do you think of there not being a Lowell candidate, which is a possibility, for the congressional seat? What effect would that have on the city's morale?
I don't know. Obviously, I think it might bring the morale down a little bit, but I think that, obviously it's a benefit to have someone in that seat from your hometown. So we're just going to have to see what happens and work with whoever runs and whoever wins the seat. So it's, obviously.
Yeah, I have no idea who that's going to be.
And we've been lucky, so.
We have been extremely lucky. Extremely lucky. I mean, people make the point that Jim Shannon wasn't from Lowell, and he did well for Lowell, and Chet Atkins wasn't from Lowell, but he did well for Lowell, and that type of thing. But we've been kind of spoiled.
Oh yeah, we have been. Congressman Meehan did a great job, and Congresswoman Songus is doing a great job. So.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I sit and worry about. I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have better things to worry about, but that's one of the things I sit and worry about. Anyway, we've run out of time, so thank you very much for being on the show.
All right, I appreciate coming in. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
All right, good to see you. Thank you.
Okay. This is Jim Peters with Peters Principals. As you know, you never know who you're going to have on Peters Principals, and today we have Councilman John Leahy, who wants to be councilman again, so keep that in mind in November. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.